Kristi Noem, the Republican governor of South Dakota and Donald Trump's potential 2024 running mate, gave a series of unhinged answers to questions about abortion, Mike Pence, and Trump himself. And we've got to talk about it. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, we have several clips to look at in this video. And if it were just about Kristi Noem, we probably wouldn't be talking about it. She's the Republican governor of South Dakota. And as far as governors are concerned, of little consequence on the national stage, except for the fact that she is on the short list to be Donald Trump's potential 2024 running mate. She is seen as a strong candidate to be his vice president, which he has not announced yet. So there's still time. This may be the potential. This may be the vice president of the United States if Donald Trump wins the 2024 election. And based on the answers she gives to these questions, that is a terrible prospect indeed. Although I will say she doesn't shout. She doesn't engage in MAGA histrionics the way that Matt Gaetz does or Jim Jordan does or Marjorie Taylor Greene. Kristi Noem is poised. She's calm. She's quiet. But the substance of her answers, such that there are any, are genuinely deranged. So we're going to play some of these clips and unpack them together.
If Donald Trump is convicted in this trial, will you still support him in November?
If my choice is between Joe Biden and Donald Trump every single day of the week, yes, I will support Donald Trump. I have from the very beginning. He has been someone that I have supported since 2016 because I recognized that he didn't think he was better than anybody else in this country. He wanted to go run for this office so he could serve the people here and fight for them every single day. And you know what? He's one of the few.
It looks like
by outside noise and judicial system and cases and lawsuits that come that are being used to weaponize our judicial system against him. I'm focused on what he did when he was in the White House. And when he was in the White House, every single day as governor, I got to be on offense. I got to solve problems.
You got to be on offense? I don't know what that means. You probably got to be offensive, which I imagine she thinks is offense. So there again, you have another Republican elected official who campaigns and lives her public life on at least the projection of law and order. We have a constitution, we have federal laws, we have state and local laws, and every American should be beholden to those laws, unless you're Donald Trump. In that case, again, you're given special dispensation. It doesn't matter what you're charged with, what you're indicted for, what you're convicted for. It doesn't matter. You get a get out of jail free card with Republicans if your name is Donald Trump. Probably not exclusively Donald Trump, but this is an argument that they would never entertain in any other context for anyone who wasn't a Republican. Imagine the counterfactual, where the Democrats are running a candidate who has been indicted on 88 federal counts of crime, and the Republican candidate had not been. And imagine that the Democratic surrogates were giving these answers. Would Kristi Noem have a problem with that? Of course she would. But that's because at the end of the day, Kristi Noem and all the other Republican elected officials backing Trump, law and order is nothing. That's for lesser people. That's for liberals. That's for progressives. It's for Democrats. It's for women. It's for minorities. That's for people that Republicans deem to be inferior, not for Republicans themselves. Here, the topic turns to abortion.
Do you think there should be exceptions for rape and incest, for example?
And I think that every state's going to look different. That's what's different, Dana, is that I've constantly looked, and we rely in South Dakota on the fact that I'm pro-life, and we have a law that says that there is an exception for the life of the mother. And I just don't believe a tragedy should perpetuate another tragedy. I believe in taking care of mothers that are in a crisis situation, and that we should be walking alongside them, giving them all the information and the best information they can make before they have to be put in a situation where an abortion is the only option that they have. So I'll continue to do that and love mothers and families through these situations, recognizing that they are often challenging and scary, and many times they're feeling very alone.
Right. So this is, of course, in the aftermath of the recent Arizona Supreme Court decision, which resurrected a Civil War era law banning abortion with virtually no exceptions. Kristi Noem was asked about this because Democrats are rightly campaigning on the idea that this is the Republican dream come true. If Republicans get their way, they will superimpose this draconian rule on the other 49 states. And we have no reason to believe otherwise. And when you hear answers like that from Kristi Noem, it's of little comfort, right? She says that there shouldn't be exceptions for rape or incest because that's a tragedy and an abortion's a tragedy and one tragedy doesn't justify another. Then she lies to the face of every American. Says, I believe in taking care of mothers. Republicans are not in the business of taking care of mothers. Republicans have opposed time and time again robust social safety nets, which would help out struggling families, struggling mothers, et cetera, and so forth. They oppose, contraception, easy access to contraception, and oftentimes the legal right to contraception, like Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice, or Marsha Blackburn, Republican senator. They oppose robust sex education. They oppose, expansions for pre and neonatal care, things like that would help families, mothers, situations like that. They oppose that. That's Democrats are the ones, liberals and progressives, they're the ones who support providing the social safety net to make it easier for families to actually be a family. Kristi Noem is just offering you empty platitudes because at the end of the day, her party really just wants to control people's uteruses. That's it. Nothing makes a Republican politician happier than the prospect of forcing someone to gestate a fetus against their will for 9 months and then to abandon them as soon as that fetus leaves the birth canal. Here's another question, this one about Mike Pence, January 6th and the 2020 election.
So when Mike Pence said that he talked to lawyers and he felt that he had absolutely no ability to reject the election on January 6th, do you think he was wrong when he did that?
I wasn't in Mike Pence's shoes, and the information that he had at that time, I don't know how he based his decisions. I think he's a nice man. I think that he's failed Donald Trump since that day because he certainly does not recognize that we need someone in the White House who needs him out on the trail advocating for him instead of constantly criticizing and going back and ripping him apart. We are running, this race is about people who love America and people who are trying to destroy America.
That's true. But she doesn't realize that she and her party are the ones who want to destroy America, and it's Democrats who actually love this country by comparison.
And Joe Biden is trying to destroy America. I'd encourage Mike Pence and everybody else to get out there and to help Donald Trump get elected because he is the only person in this race who is going to make sure.
It happened again.
Okay, it looks like Governor, forgive me, your shot is freezing a little bit.
It's so much nonsense that even the connection is like, I can't handle this. There's so much bullshit coming from South Dakota right now that it actually frayed the connection between the two of them. Super disgusting stuff. I mean, the reality is that answer is everything. At the end of the day, Republicans like Kristi Noem, it's not just Donald Trump. It's again, the entire elected Republican class. They will not accept an outcome that doesn't end in a Republican victory. That's it. Either Republicans win or the election was stolen or illegitimate. That's it. And it's not just one or two, right? Because, of course, what Republicans do is they'll point to the one or two examples of when Donald Trump was elected, you had a couple of Congress people object to the results, okay? But you had, like, by a factor of 10 or 15, a number of Republicans who objected to President Biden's victory. And that was after the insurrection in which the Trump-supporting mob invaded the Capitol to try to hunt these people down and kill them. So again, just objectively speaking, the Republicans have an infinitely greater problem with accepting and respecting the results of free and fair elections. Kristi Noem just gave the game away. She's like, listen, Mike Pence made his decision. I don't know why he made his decision, even though we all know why he made his decision, because it's been a matter of public record, high profile public record for years. So she's just ducking the answer because she wants to be Donald Trump's vice president. It would be easy to say, like, for example, Kristi Noem, who I think is also a coward in so many respects, another Republican governor who's criticized Donald Trump in the past, unlike Noem, but he's backing Trump regardless because he puts partisan loyalty above country. But even he would admit that the election wasn't stolen. Donald Trump just simply lost and Mike Pence did the right thing. Kristi Noem can't even say that because that would effectively screw her opportunities to become Donald Trump's vice president. Really gross stuff. I want to play one more clip here, if I can get back to it. And that is her attempting a whataboutism at the very end with respect to Donald Trump's prosecution in Manhattan and the alleged crimes of President Biden and Hunter Biden.
Keeping us safe and secure.
I just want to say for the record, there's absolutely no evidence that President Biden is involved in this. This is a case that is being brought in the state of New York by the Manhattan
and
DA.
That's what I think is remarkable, is that if you look at President Biden and what he's done and what his son has done, and the fact that they are not being prosecuted for some of their crimes that has
nothing to do
really
with this.
Kind of unprecedented.
That has nothing to do with this. So my question is...
True, completely different.
Yeah.
We have a judicial system right now that's being used against certain members of certain parties.
My other point that I want to make of...
Just absolute ridiculous stuff. So again, as we've talked about, when Donald Trump was the sitting president, he tried to pressure his Attorney General Bill Barr publicly. He went on Fox News. I played the clip. I love it. It's my trump card, pun intended. I always win the argument with it, which is why you should have it in your back pocket too. Anytime someone wants to complain about the weaponization of the Justice Department, you have that quote from Trump on Maria Bartiromo's show. It's your ace card. They have nothing that can stand against it. When Donald Trump was the sitting president, he tried to publicly get his attorney general to prosecute then candidate Joe Biden and former President Barack Obama. Bill Barr didn't comply. Donald Trump has repeatedly run on campaigns in 2016, 2020, and 2024 of jailing his political opponents. So in this case, what we have is Donald Trump has been credibly accused of committing crimes by grand juries of American citizens in blue states and red states, because Georgia's a red state. He's been credibly accused of committing crimes by grand juries who've seen the evidence. Kristi Noem can't handle that. So instead, she's engaging in revisionist history. Donald Trump is perfect. Republicans don't commit crimes, and they're being prosecuted unfairly by a demonic Democratic Department of Justice. She's simply wrong on the facts. It's just, unfortunately for her, Republicans tend to be more corrupt and stupid and criminal in terms of their elected officials. But hey, Bob Menendez is a Democratic senator from New Jersey who's being prosecuted by the Justice Department as we speak. Hunter Biden, whom she can't shut up about, apparently, even though he's a private citizen. She had to find a way to throw Hunter Biden in there. Hunter Biden is being prosecuted by a special counsel who was appointed by Donald Trump, made a special counsel by Attorney General Merrick Garland under Hunter Biden's own father, President Biden. President Biden's own Justice Department is prosecuting President Biden's own son. So at the end of the day, Republicans are simply wrong on this fact too. Maybe Kristi Noem should spend more time trying to get Donald Trump to stop committing crimes, and then maybe he wouldn't be prosecuted for them. Food for thought. Genuinely unhinged stuff coming from Kristi Noem, and that's her attempt to be, her latest audition, rather, to be Donald Trump's vice presidential candidate. Let me know what you think in the comments.